Hello, welcome to this video. My name is David Leiser. I'm a world traveler and game designer. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make an awesome, structured, and efficient game design document so that you can clearly communicate your vision with your team and make a better game. Check out my website, www.budleiser.com, where you can find out more tutorials, glossary for our industry, and free and cheap assets for your games. I prefer Google Docs over Word and Dropbox. Now that I've gotten used to it, I think the features are a lot cleaner, nicer, easier to use. I like the formatting, and most importantly, I can work simultaneously with my team and they can comment on stuff. It doesn't break any of the files like you do in Dropbox. You don't have to worry about subversions or anything like that being created. So let's just talk really quick about terminology before we get started. The reason I wanted to make this video is a lot of people I've noticed in the indie scene are talking about their game design document, and they really either they don't have one or they don't have a good one. Some of them are just much too short, much too ambiguous to be a real game design document, and they're holding on to it like it's super important, and then you find out, if you want to work with them or something, all they've got is like 3 pages written down. And really, to me, that's not a game design document, unless you're making something super simple. If what you have is less than 4 pages, what you probably have is kind of a general concept or even a pitch document. A pitch document is something that you show to other team members, other investors, or even maybe like a media type of outlet type thing to get people interested in your game. So you might work on a pitch document to try and raise funds or to get people to work as team members to try and gain resources before you get to your game design document. The other terminology I want to go over is the technical design document. The game design document and the technical design document, they do overlap a lot. But anytime that you're working with programmers and they say they don't like your game design document and they want you to fix it, what they really mean is they want a technical design document. A technical design document does not have any of the ambiguity, the flavor, the story, or the extra fluff that goes into a game design document. It's very specific so that when a programmer starts to work, he knows, this piece goes here, this object is 36 by 36. There's nothing ambiguous. You don't use words like small, medium, large. You want to be as specific as possible in your technical design document. All right, so for more information about this terminology, you can come to my website and click on Game Dev Dictionary or Game Dev Glossary, and it'll go over a lot of the keywords that are used in the industry and give it a real simple definition. So I'm going to dive straight in, and we're going to start working on our game design document. If you are thinking about building a website, I can recommend DreamHost. I've used them for over 5 years. They're excellent. For my domains, I use GoDaddy. It's very, they're really big and it's really simple. They have a really good front-end user system for keeping track of all your domains. So I do have referral links if you decide to use those companies. So the first thing we're going to do, we're starting from a completely blank document. Go ahead and give your document a name. If you come up here, just highlight on it and then click there, and you can rename your document. For this, we're going to call it samplegddbudleiser.com. And you guys can download this later from my website under the Assets section. All right. The next thing I want to go ahead and do is insert my header. I like to use headers. It's very professional looking and convenient. I'm going to type in my little copyright symbol, which is Alt. See, where is it here? Alt 0169. Again, you can find that under the Assets section, some of these Alt symbols that I like to use when writing my game design documents. Okay, I'm going to say Bud Leiser. Then we're going to go ahead and tab over to the center a bit and call this, I do recommend when you guys are working on your game and your game design documents, if you guys have not reached production phase or marketing phase, go ahead and stick with a working title because you might want to change it later. That was the other thing I wanted to bring up about the DreamHost and the websites. I don't recommend buying a domain name for your game until you're going to start marketing, unless you really have a really cool name and you want to save it. So, depending upon, if you have your domain name and you have it saved, go ahead and put that in as your actual game title. But otherwise, go ahead and use a working game title. And if you do have a domain name, go ahead and put it in over there to the side. There we go. See, I like to do this way. On every page that we look at, we have the information, we have my copyright, we have the game title, and we have the website where our game is going to be at. Now go ahead and enter down a couple times. put it in the center, and now we're going to do something a little bit different. Don't bold, don't change your font or any of that stuff. Hit Alt, Control, 1. And if you noticed up here, it changes it to heading style 1, and it changed my font and my size, and that's fine. And now we're going to get into why we use headers instead of just changing our font sizes. Right now, we're going to insert a table of contents. When I find it, there we go, table of contents. And you can see that it automatically took my header and listed it as my table of content object, right? And to show you what happens also, and we're going to come down here. As soon as you hit enter after it, it's going to change it to normal text, which is perfect. And I'm going to create another little piece under here, but this time I'm doing Alt Control 2, which is heading style 2. And we're going to put designed by Leiser. And if I update my table of contents, look at that. We've already got a table of contents that starts letting you jump to sections inside your document, which is awesome and another reason why I love Google Documents. The last thing I do before I leave this first page is I'm going to add my page number at the bottom. I put a little slash mark and insert page count. Just makes it look a little bit more professional. You might want to put also your designed by or copyright stuff information at the bottom, or leave it empty for footnotes for the page. So now we're going to start creating all the different sections that are going to go into our game design document. And since we're already making our table of contents, it's going to stay really structured. It's going to be really useful for the team, and they can jump around from section to section very quickly and easily. All right, here we go. Some people like to start off with their executive summary. One thing you're going to do when you're designing your game design document is you're probably not going to work front to back. You're going to jump around a lot. And so for me personally, I like to just start with features, and either you call it requirements, but I actually like to call it platform or platforms. All right, and the features are just kind of a quick description of what makes this game exciting, what this game has to have, what genre it's in, what really makes this game what it is. So for example, we're going to say it's a twin-stick shooter with fantasy theme, fast-paced action. So what I did now is I Control-Shift-8, and that's going to give you your nice bullet points. Bullet points are super key once you get used to using them. They make everything much cleaner, easier to read, and help segregate information. For the regular bullets, like I'm using now, that's Control-Shift-8. For the numbered bullets, Control-Shift-7. So when you're making a list, obviously, instead of typing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, thing, that, other, and then you, I want to come back and I want to put something else ahead of other, and this. Now I don't have to go back and change a bunch of numbers. I'm using a nice bullet point number system. But for the most part, I use a regular bullet point. All right. You're going to want to use this as often as it's useful or as necessary. So the features of my twin-stick shooter, it's going to be action-packed, it's going to be addictive, it's going to make a ton of money, it's going to be free with in-app purchases, like pies, mostly pies, maybe some upgrades. And what you see I'm doing now, I'll back up a little bit here. Every time I hit enter, it's going to create that new bullet point. But if I want to make a subsection for that bullet point, just hit tab, and it'll automatically change into something. The numbers change into like Roman numerals, and the planes change into letters, I guess. In Word, it's a little bit different. But anyway, so free with in-app purchases. My players are going to buy lots of pies. They're going to buy upgrades, and maybe they're even going to click on some ads. I don't know. You're basically just creating the feature list that makes your game important at this point. Everything that you make in this game design document has to be editable. You're going to go back and fix it. This is always referred to as a living document, meaning it's always changing. And everybody needs to be kept up to date on the most recent version. And eventually, once you kind of get everything in there, you want other people to at least be able to comment on it. And if you trust them or you want to work together in that fashion, you can even let them edit it. So let's go ahead and set that up in Google Docs now. Who has access? You're going to change private to anyone with the link. This way you don't have to type in their name. As long as you share it with people, it's much faster to do it this way. Then down here at Access, you can change what they can do with it. I always like to have comments open. Once you get later into it, you might let edit be open, but even from the very beginning, as soon as I share this to people, I let comments be completely open. But that's just me. All right? Well, I'll show you what that's really cool. Now that that's done, as long as I gave that link to somebody, they would be able to jump into the document, read it, and be able to start commenting on it. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how commenting works when you're working with other people. All they have to do is highlight something and either hit Control-Alt-M or click on this comment button after right-clicking. And that's going to open up this little window on the side, and they can type in whatever they want. But now over here it's got these little comments, and you can later come by, you can reply to it, other people can reply to it. You can hit delete, which completely removes it from the system, but more often you should probably use this word resolve in case anything gets changed or updated and this is no longer necessary. Instead of deleting it, hit that resolve button. Up here at the comments section, it'll have all the comments that have been put in. It'll always sort by the newest or most recently updated to the top, so you quickly come in and see what comments were left without having to jump down to the actual page. And if it's been resolved, it'll have a nice little check mark here. So it's a great way to work with other people. Now, we'll continue moving forward with the game design document. Basically what we're doing, using our little header system, remember that's Control-Alt-1, 2, 3 for headings 1, 2, and 3. And if you ever want to get rid of it, it's Control-Alt-0 to drop it back down to normal text. So really simple. Alt, Control, and your number pad across the top. All right. Next, I'm going to hit Control Enter, and that's going to start a completely new page. And I like to do this whenever I'm going to create another major section, or heading 1 up here. See that? That's going to create another major topic in our table of contents for our major sections. Now I like to make this nice and tidy and neat. Go ahead and center it, and then click Insert Horizontal Line. And that lets you really know that you're moving into a new section here. For the major categories, I always use heading 1. And my next is always heading 2. And under story, we're going to do our premise, our world. Whoops, that didn't take. And probably our major characters. All right. The world, you can go, story. And here's the thing about the story section in the game design document. If you're making an RPG, or if you're going to write a story and it's going to be more than 5 pages, you're actually going to do the story in a separate document, and then just go ahead and create the link to wherever it is right here so that people can go to it. All right. But even under the GDD, you're still going to want your premise, a little bit about the world. Maybe it's Earth. That'd be important to know. Maybe the year is 29 AD. What if it's 29 BC? That's a big difference. And let the people know, is it futuristic, apocalyptic, sci-fi, kind of grungy, desolate colors. Give them a little bit of background of what's going on in the world. I know that's more of a theme I just described there, but you can put that under as world, or you can put that under as theme. Okay. Characters, just going to list your major characters, such as the player-controlled character and any of the major characters he goes into. If you have a lot of characters, again like an RPG, put that in a separate document. Don't put that in the GDD. All right. So I'm really going to just kind of skip around a little bit quicker now to try and speed this video up, where I've already reached about almost 15 minutes of recording time. So let's talk about what needs to be in your game design document, and let's just go through it really quickly. So after the story, you're probably going to want to get to your gameplay. It's probably the next meaty part of your game design document and what makes you really excited while you're working on things. Inside of the gameplay, you might want to talk about mechanics, upgrades, power-ups, and that would come after our actual gameplay session. So one more thing that's really critical, and I like to put in the gameplay section, is camera. Make sure you always describe what type of camera angle you have for the player, and if that camera ever changes. Gameplay section is probably going to make up the main section of your GDD. And then you want to give quick descriptions of everything and then go back and fill it out in much, much greater detail later. And again, it's a living document, so just keep updating it, keep filling it up, but we're going to keep moving along to try and get the other key elements of our project on there. The next I like to always consider is the artwork, and you're going to talk about things like the theme, the style, and the mood. All right. Inside Google Documents, you want to make sure that you're giving lots of examples. Inside your game design document, you can insert image, you can upload from your computer, you can take snapshots, and you can also do it by URL. There's also another tool, it's on every Windows, I think since Windows 7, called the snipping tool. If you search for that, it's really simple to use, and just check it out. And you want to give lots and lots of examples wherever possible. Next thing you probably want to talk about is sound. And you want to make sure you have your technical notes here. In fact, I need to put that up there as well. Whenever I go into these categories like art and sound, my first topic of conversation is the technicals. What type of files is it going to be in? Are you going to use PNGs? Are you going to use GIFs, JPEGs? How large do things need to be in? For example, if you use RPG Maker, your tiles are 36 by 32. Yep, 32 by 32. If you're going to be working on a team, you want to make sure you start including that as early as the GDD and definitely in the technical design document. Hey guys, I just watched my videos and realized that there's three big things I want to talk to you about that were not included in the previous videos. The first thing is the changelog. You want to have a changelog for your GDD as soon as you start having other people looking at it, or even for your own planning purposes. I personally like to have it ahead of the title page and ahead of the content, ahead of the title page, so that it's really the first thing that you see as soon as you jump in. You see your to-do list, you see anything that you've changed or somebody else has changed. You do want to keep little dates ahead of everything on your changelog. It's good practice. The next thing that I forgot to mention was the version number for your document. Kind of goes along with the changelog, but especially if anybody is going to be printing this out, working remotely, you want to make sure that everybody has the most updated one. And if you do share it with somebody and somebody comes back with some comments or something, you can look at the version number and make sure that you're all on the same page. So I went ahead and added that into the footer. That way it shows up on all of the documents, all of the document pages, no matter which part they print out. And the last thing that I forgot to show you guys, which is really cool in Google Docs and works better than I initially thought it would, is tables. I personally am a big fan of Excel. I used to try and do everything in Excel, including my game design documents. I no longer do that, but let's show you how easy it is to take something from your Excel file and add it right into Google Docs. So I created a little subsection under gameplay called pie farming, and I'm going to insert a table. No, where is it? Oh, right under table. And in here you can click on all the different sizes, and I don't think it even matters. I think you can just start with anything, hit Control V, and it'll fill in everything for you anyway. Now you notice it did copy all of the color that was in the previous section. In fact, if I just Control V down below without adding the table, you see it doesn't do it correctly. So you have to make that little table. You don't have to size it correctly, but it does need to be there. So let's go ahead and remove that real quick. And let's see if we can try something else. I want to see if I can do it without adding all the color from my Excel table that I have here. So I'm going to hold Control Shift V, and no, that doesn't work. All right, so if you do want to remove color, you either need to remove it from Excel or come back and manually do it from here. All right. But this way you can do all of your calculations, your formulas inside of Excel. But when you want somebody, once you put it into your GDD, instead of sharing the Excel file and making somebody open up a whole nother program just to look at your little table here, you can put the table inside of there. And again, that's under Table, insert table, and you don't have to choose the size. You can just start off with it, but let's go ahead and show you what it looks like if you're building a table. So let's say I don't have a table I want to insert. I can create a 2x2, and then I can start doing stuff like this, and like, oh, but I really need more columns now. I have my name, I have apple pie, if I was going to make this by hand, right? My cost is 1, but now what I really need is that time column. We'll just right click in here, and you'll have all of these things: insert column, insert row, and so we can build the table right in here like this. I still like to do most of my work in Excel, especially if I'm going to do formulas, but you can also do it manually. All right, guys, that was it. All right, I went over the changelog with you guys. Yep. Did the version number with you guys. Yep. Explain tables. Yep. So in your changelog, structure it however you want, but I like to have a very clear to-do list, my changed, which is actually the changelog part of the changelog, and my notes. Anything that I want to talk to about or mention to other people. All right. I hope you guys have found this really useful. Don't forget to visit my site and blog, budleiser.com.